Lance. I hope you have a wonderful day. And this time I'm gonna be reacting to how bad is Lance Stroll actually. Yeah. I wanna know. But like, I'm not a fan of him, so let's just start.
Enter Lance Stroll, one of the most debated names in F1. Is he really as bad as his critics say, or is there something everyone's missing? Today we're putting it all on the table. How bad is Lance Stroll actually? Let's break it down.
Okay, please do.
Born on October 29th, 1998 in Montreal, Canada, Lance was raised in a world of immense wealth, courtesy of his father, Lawrence Stroll, a billionaire investor with a keen interest in luxury brands and motorsport. Lance began karting at the age of 10, quickly rising through the ranks. By 2010, just 2 years into his karting career, he was already named the Rookie of the Year by the Fédération des Sports Automobiles du Québec.
Really?
By the following year, he had secured the Canadian National Karting Championship, showing he had some natural ability behind the wheel. In 2010, Ferrari took notice of the young Canadian and invited him to join their prestigious driver academy. At just 11 years old, he became one of the youngest drivers ever to be a part of this elite program. It was during his time in the Ferrari academy that Lance started competing more seriously in European karting circuit, a level far more competitive than anything back home in Canada.
Huh?
By 2014, Lance had moved on to single-seater racing, competing in the Italian Formula 4 Championship with Prima Power Team. Prima's reputation for developing young talent gave Lance a strong foundation, but his father's involvement already started raising eyebrows. Lawrence Stroll had invested heavily in Prima, allegedly spending upwards of $60 million to secure Lance the best equipment and resources. This level of financial backing was insane for a driver at that level, and it wasn't long before critics started accusing Lance of being a pay driver. Despite the controversy, Lance delivered.
Yeah, it sounds interesting already. Like, if you have so much money, you can do so much more with a car. Or at least get better, I don't know, engineers or some other guys that you need.
On the track, winning the Italian Formula 4 Championship in his debut season. However,
but like at the start, he was kind of good with the start. At 10 years old.
There was a little caveat to his win. Stroll's teammate, Brandon Maizano, was a seasoned driver who frequently outperformed Lance. Maizano, born on June 23rd, 1993, was 21 years old during the season, making him ineligible for the main season due to age restriction. Instead, he competed in the concurrent Italian F4 trophy for drivers over 18, where he dominated by winning the first 10 races and securing 17 class victories out of 21 races. While Maizano achieved 6 overall race wins, his ineligibility for the main championship meant he couldn't accumulate points in the Italian Formula 4 Championship. This convenient arrangement left Lance as the highest placed eligible driver, age 15, handing him the championship trophy. Seems a little much for a simple coincidence, don't you think?
You were a bit of love. You were a bit of love.
In 2015, Stroll moved up to the Toyota Racing Series in New Zealand, where he claimed the championship with consistent performances across 5 rounds. The Toyota Racing Series is often seen as a testing ground for young drivers during the off-season, and Lance's success there added another title to his growing resume. That same year, he made his debut in the FIA European Formula 3 Championship, again with Prima. However, his first season in F3 was far from smooth. Lance was involved in several high-profile incidents, including a dramatic crash at Monza and a multi-car pileup at Spa-Francorchamps, earning him a race ban. Nevertheless, 2016 proved to be a turning point. Lance dominated the FIA European Formula 3 Championship, winning 14 of the 30 races and securing the title by a significant margin. But once again...
Okay, kinda I'm starting to question everything, but like, he's not good now. I don't know what I'm thinking now.
Again, his success came under scrutiny. Lawrence Stroll had reportedly purchased a Formula 1 grade simulator for Lance to train on, giving him an advantage over his competitors in what was supposed to be a spec series. Additionally, accusations of team orders within Prima Power Team, forcing Lance's teammates to support him rather than compete against him, tarnished his achievement. Even George Russell publicly criticized the situation, saying it was bad for the sport. The financial backing didn't stop at Prima, and Lawrence Stroll's influence extended to Formula 1 itself. By the end of 2016, Lance had been signed by Williams as a full-time Formula 1 driver for the 2017 season. We don't have the financial backing of Lawrence Stroll, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we are on our way to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of January 2025. At just 18 years old, Lance became the second youngest driver to ever start a Formula One race. And while that statistic might suggest insane talent, his rookie season told a more complicated story. Williams at the time was a team struggling to stay competitive in Formula One. The team had seen better days, but by 2017, they were operating on a much tighter budget compared to the top-tier teams and were truly struggling. This is where Lawrence Stroll's investment became crucial. Reports suggest that Lawrence allegedly injected around $18 million into the team, which not only secured Lance's seat, but also funded extensive private testing. Stroll was given access to older Williams cars to prepare for his debut, completing thousands of kilometers at tracks around the world. This type of preparation was virtually unheard of for a rookie driver, especially in an era where in-season testing is strictly limited. Still, Lance's first season was far from smooth. His debut race in Australia ended in retirement due to a brake failure, and his early
Oh, I didn't know that they have like a window so you could just go in.
performances were riddled with mistakes. He struggled to keep pace with his experienced teammate Felipe Massa,
Oh, sorry.
a veteran driver with over a decade of F1 experience. Over the course of the season, Massa outqualified Stroll in 17 out of 20 races, with an average gap of over 0.6 of a second per lap, a significant margin in Formula One terms. Despite these struggles, Lance did manage to produce a few standout moments that hinted at his potential. One of the highlights of his rookie season came at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku, where he capitalized on the chaotic nature of the race to secure a podium finish in third place. This made him the youngest rookie to finish on the podium since 2001. While the result was impressive on paper, it came with a caveat.
Not the shooting. But seriously, everything is so questionable. So questionable. I'm still thinking he is there because of his father.
The race saw multiple incidents and retirements, including issues for Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, which shuffled the order and allowed Lance to climb the ranks. Nevertheless, a podium is a podium, and it marked a significant achievement for both Stroll and Williams. Another notable performance came at the Italian Grand Prix in Monza. Lance qualified 4th in wet conditions, but started the race on front row due to penalties for other drivers. His ability to perform in tricky wet conditions earned him praise, showcasing a specific area where he appeared to excel. However, statistically, Lance's rookie season was underwhelming. He finished 12th in the Drivers' Championship with 40 points, while Massa ended the season in 11th with 43 points despite missing a race due to illness. While the gap in points was minimal, Massa's superior qualifying and race pace throughout the year painted a clear picture of the hierarchy within the team. Stroll's average finish position was 12.35, compared to Massa's 9.53. One of the biggest criticisms of Stroll's debut season was the disparity between his resources and his result. Given the extensive testing he received and the financial backing behind him, many felt he should have delivered more consistent performances. Instead, he became a polarizing figure in the paddock. Supporters argued that he was a young driver still finding his footing, while others saw him as the epitome of a pay driver. Off the track, Lance struggled to endear himself to fans, which absolutely didn't help his case. His intentions often came across as dismissive or lacking emotion, making him look like a spoiled brat rather than an F1 hero. This perception, combined with his on-track performance, made it difficult for Lance to shake the image of being entitled or undeserving of his seat.
Yeah, I think it was a Constantina effect in the hairpin. Someone braked
yeah,
in
this one.
front, and
Oh.
then I think it was like everyone kind of braked, and the car in front of me just stopped right in front of me. I had nowhere to go.
That one I hate. Like I said it one other video, I guess that's the popular one of him. The most popular one.
In the 2018 Formula One season, Lance Stroll faced significant challenges as he continued with Williams racing. The Williams FW41 was widely regarded as the slowest car on the grid, marking a steep decline even from the previous year. Stroll's second year in F1 saw him paired with rookie Sergei Sirotkin, forming the least experienced driver lineup on the grid. Despite the team's struggles, Stroll managed to outperform Sirotkin in several key areas. He led the head-to-head battle with a 5-1 score in points finishes, though the competition between them was closer than the numbers suggest. One of the few bright spots of the year came at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, where Stroll capitalized on a chaotic race to secure an 8th place finish. This result brought valuable points to the team, but highlighted how reliant Williams was on unusual circumstances to make any progress. Unfortunately, such moments were rare. Statistically, 2018 was a step back for Stroll. He ended the season 18th in the Drivers' Championship with just 6 points. while Williams finished last in the
Wah,
constructors'
wah,
standings
wah.
with a mere 7 points. As the 2018 season closed, it became clear that Stroll's journey in Formula 1 would depend heavily on his ability to prove himself beyond his financial ties. With rumors
Yeah.
swirling about his move to the Racing Point following his father's acquisition of the team, Stroll's future seemed poised for a fresh start. Or was it? Lance Stroll's transition to Racing Points in 2019 cemented his status as the quintessential pay driver. After all, Racing Point's existence was directly tied to his father, Lawrence Stroll, who spearheaded a consortium to purchase the struggling Force Indian team in mid-2018. Force India had been a fan-favorite team in Formula 1 for punching above its weight for years, consistently outperforming teams with far greater resources. When the team was rebranded as Racing Point for the 2019 season, there was optimism about its potential under new ownership. However, the narrative quickly shifted as critics speculated that the team's resources and focus would now center on Lance's success rather than maximizing overall performance. Lance's first season with Racing
And did it happen like that? I don't know.
Point, paired alongside the experienced Sergio Perez, offered a clearer comparison of his abilities. Statistically, Lance struggled to match Perez's pace and consistency. Over the course of the 2019 season, Perez outqualified Lance 18-3, with an average qualifying gap of over half a second. This highlighted Lance's ongoing weakness in one-lap pace, a critical skill for qualifying. Despite these numbers, Lance had moments of competence. His best result of the season came at the German Grand Prix, a chaotic, rain-affected race where he finished 4th after briefly leading. However, the results in Germany felt more like an outlier than a sign of consistent improvement. By the end of the season, Perez outscored Stroll 52 points to 21, finishing 10th in the Drivers' Championship compared to Lance's 15th.
Yeah. Like this isn't showing anything good. Yikes.
The 2020 season brought a step forward for Racing Point, both in terms of car performance and controversy. Dubbed the Pink Mercedes, the RB20 was a near-carbon copy of Mercedes' dominant 2019 car. This sparked protests from rival teams and even led to penalties for Racing Point, but the car's pace was undeniable. For Lance, this was an opportunity to show he could deliver when given a competitive machine. The highlight of Lance's season came at the Turkish Grand Prix, where he claimed his first pole position in challenging wet conditions. For some reason, rainy weather brought the best of him. Unfortunately, the race itself didn't go as planned.
Okay, but like in the rain, if you got first place, that's the most easiest, and other one places just sucks because you can't see anything. Not like anything, but something, but it's not great.
Despite leading early, tire degradation and a lack of race pace saw him tumble down the order, eventually finishing 9th. Lance also secured 2 podium finishes in 2020 at the Italian and Sakir Grand Prix. Both races were chaotic, with multiple frontrunners encountering issues, but Lance's ability to stay out of the trouble allowed him to capitalize. In Sakir, he finished 3rd behind Perez, who claimed his first career victory. Perez's win highlighted the disparity between the two drivers, as the Mexican continued to consistently outperform Lance throughout the season. 2020 also showcased Lance's ongoing struggles with racecraft and spatial awareness. Incidents like his collision with Max Verstappen in Portugal and a high-speed crash in Mugello raised questions about his decision-making and overall driving ability. Behind the scenes, the Racing Point era further solidified the narrative of Lance benefiting from nepotism. While Perez delivered consistently strong performances, he was unceremoniously dropped at the end of 2020 to make room for 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel. Despite the controversy, Lance's career carried on into 2021 under the Aston Martin banner, as Racing Point was rebranded following a major investment led by Lawrence Stroll.
Of course.
In 2021,
No, the light show is good, yeah.
Aston Martin struggled to replicate the success of its predecessor, Racing Point, due to regulatory changes that disadvantaged their low-rake car design. The Stroll season began with a 10th place finish at the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Oh. He can grow some beard and mustache? I haven't seen that pic, like, ever.
Securing his first points of the year. However, it was clear early on that Aston Martin would not be competitive enough to fight for regular top 10 finishes. One of the most dramatic moments of Stroll's season occurred at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Running comfortably in the top 10, Stroll suffered a catastrophic left rear tire failure on the main straight, sending him into a high-speed crash. Though uninjured, Stroll had his dad scared there for a minute, that's for sure. Another low came at the Hungarian Grand Prix, where Stroll's aggressive start resulted in a first lap collision that took out multiple cars, including Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. The incident led to a 5-place grid penalty at the subsequent race and criticism about his driving IQ. Despite these challenges, Stroll demonstrated
Driving IQ? I didn't know that there is some separated IQ.
his capabilities in the latter half of the season. His standout performance came at the Qatar Grand Prix, where he finished a strong 6th. Stroll ended the season 13th in the Drivers' Championship with 34 points, trailing Vettel's 43. The 2022 season brought new technical regulations and a fresh car design for Aston Martin. However, the AMR22 fell short of expectations, and Stroll's season was defined by a mix of solid drives and costly mistakes. He began the year with a series of minor points finishes. Several high-profile incidents overshadowed his performance. At the Australian Grand Prix, Stroll collided with Nicholas Latifi during qualifying, a bizarre crash that led to a grid penalty. His weekend in Azerbaijan was even more problematic, as he crashed twice during qualifying, bringing out a red flag and starting the race from the back of the grid. The most controversial moment of Stroll's season occurred at the United States Grand Prix in Austin. While defending from Fernando Alonso, Stroll made a sudden move on the straight, leading to a high-speed collision that sent Alonso's car airborne. Though both drivers escaped injury, Stroll was deemed primarily at fault and received a 3-place grid penalty for the next race. I honestly think that any other driver would have been kicked out of F1 at that point. Don't you think so? Despite the setbacks, Stroll
So true. So true. But the money though, right?
managed to secure a season-best 6th place finish at the Singapore Grand Prix. Stroll ended the season 15th in the Drivers' Championship with just 18 points. Once again, a significant gap to Vettel's 37 points. This disparity highlighted the need for greater consistency and fewer mistakes if Stroll is to match or surpass his experienced teammates.
He looks so mad.
But that task of surpassing his teammate was about to get so much harder as Vettel announced his retirement and left the team at the end of the season.
As we know, right?
The arrival of Fernando Alonso at Aston Martin in 2023 added a new layer of complexity to Lance Stroll's Formula One career. Alonso, a two-time world champion, renowned for his aggressive racecraft, tactical brilliance, unrelenting competitiveness, set an even higher bar for Lance within the team. Before the season even began, Lance suffered an unfortunate setback. Pre-season cycling accident left him with 2 broken wrists and a fractured toe, putting his participation in the opening races in doubt. However, against all odds, Lance made it to the starting
Didn't know that?
grid for the Bahrain Grand Prix. He managed a commendable 6th place finish despite being visibly in pain and having limited mobility in his hands. It was an encouraging start, and many hoped it would be a turning point. The 2023 season also brought a surprising twist. Aston Martin's AMR23 turned out to be one of the most competitive cars on the grid. The car's pace brought them into podium contentions regularly, with Fernando Alonso thriving in the new environment. But for Lance, the stakes skyrocketed. In a car capable of delivering consistent top-tier results, there was no longer anywhere to hide. By the time the first few races concluded, Fernando Alonso consistently outqualified and outraced Lance, raking up podium finishes in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Australia, while Lance's results hovered around the midpoints of the top 10. It was not even that Lance was bad at racing, he was just making way too many mistakes. One such mistake came during
But like... Too many mistakes, but like... If you are making so many mistakes, that doesn't make you a bad driver though. Mistake is a mistake. You kind of need to learn from them, but I don't think that he is. But okay.
during the Singapore Grand Prix qualifying session, where Lance crashed heavily into the barriers in Q1. The crash not only eliminated him from the race weekend, but also
From this side, looked much worse.
Underscored the narrative that he was failing to adapt to the AMR23's potential. The psychological impact of being compared to Alonso also appeared to weigh heavily on Lance. By the Qatar Grand Prix, frustration boiled over after a disappointing Q1 elimination. Lance visibly displayed his anger by throwing his steering wheel and shoving his personal trainer. The incident went viral, drawing widespread criticism. I honestly think Lance was just struggling to cope with the expectations placed upon him. As the 2023 season came to a close, the verdict on Lance's performance was clear. While he showed occasional flashes of talent, they were overshadowed by the times that his emotions got the best of him, both on and off the track. Alonso's arrival, rather than lifting Lance, had exposed his weaknesses. For Aston Martin, the challenge was in balancing their ambitions for championship contention with the realities of having a second driver who is struggling to meet the demands of a top-tier team.
Mixed bag.
The 2024 Formula One season was a mixed bag for Lance Stroll, with several horrendous crashes. Stroll kicks off the season with a respectable 10th place finish at the Bahrain Grand Prix, securing an early point for Aston Martin. This initial result demonstrated Lance's potential to compete within the midfield. However, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix proved to be one of the low points in Stroll's campaign. A crash on lap 7 at turn 23 ended his race prematurely, but in true Stroll fashion, he bounced back at the Australian Grand Prix with a commendable 6th place finish. Throughout the season, Stroll's performances were inevitably compared to those of his teammates. While Alonso consistently outqualified and outraced Stroll for most of the year, the Canadian driver driver showed glimpses of narrowing the performance gap, particularly in the latter half of the season. By the mid-season break, Stroll tailed Alonso by just 1 point in the 8 most recent races, 16 to 15. This statistic was a testament to his improving competitiveness as he learned from his mistakes. But did he actually learn from anything and got better? Or was it just luck? The Chinese Grand Prix, where Stroll finished 15th after incurring a 10-second penalty for colliding with Daniel Ricciardo under safety car conditions, was a clear example of good old Stroll. His race in Miami also ended in disappointment due to a first-lap collision with Fernando Alonso, further fueling speculation about his ability to control the car. At the Brazilian Grand Prix, a bizarre incident during the formation lap saw Stroll beach his car in the gravel, forcing him to miss the start of the race. The mistake drew sharp criticism. Former Haas team principal Gunther Steiner remarking that such stupid brain fart moments called into question Stroll's entire presence in F1. Stroll concluded the 2024 season 15th in the Drivers' Championship with 24 points. His best result was a 6th place finish in Australia, with other significant points finishes in Canada, Britain and Hungary. Alonso, in contrast, ended the season with significantly higher points tally, further emphasizing the gap between the teammates. So how bad is Lance Stroll really? The answer is pretty bad. While he has shown glimpses of potential, his inconsistency, lack of accountability, and reliance on his father's wealth have overshadowed his achievements. I think there are 2 main things he can change to make the situation better. One critical factor is his attitude and conduct, both on and off the track. Stroll's habit of deflecting blame after crashes or poor performances, such as the infamous collision with Daniel Ricciardo, only adds fuel to the fire. Change this, and you're halfway there.
Maybe it's coming from his childhood, and I don't know, he maybe did break some vase or glass or whatever, and his father were mad or something, and he was saying just no, that guy, me, no, not me, he, she, whoever, not me, no. I don't know, it feels like that, like no one did know, who was at fault, but like at these moments in F1, you can't see everything because cameras are everywhere. Like, just don't lie.
The elephant in the room is, of course, his father's influence. As long as Lawrence Stroll owns Aston Martin, Lance's seat is essentially guaranteed. A bold move would be stepping out of his father's shadow, perhaps by driving for another team or even leaving Formula One temporarily to prove himself in a different series. Such a move would be unprecedented, but could win him respect for taking on a genuine challenge. Ultimately, the biggest hurdle for Stroll is time. He's been in Formula One for 8 years, and I feel like the window for proving himself may already feel closed. Younger drivers are performing way better and adapting to F1 quicker, so Stroll is clearly running out of time. However, with the right approach, I think he could still rewrite the story. Do you think we could see a different Lance Stroll in the 2025 season? A more refined, mature driver with a true will to win and integrity? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, actually, I remember once he were third this year, or he qualified as third. I can't remember specifically, but I kind of got the feeling that maybe that will be the boost for him. Maybe he will do something different or really try to do at least better. But yeah, still at qualifyings, he is just somewhere down. I don't feel that he would kind of try. I'm not sure, but like, no. So yeah, thank you for suggestion, and hopefully you did enjoy this video, and if you did, please consider to leave a like and subscribe, and if you have other suggestions, please leave them in the Discord server, and yeah, take care. Bye!